You're about to hear the intro of the Steve Dangle podcast, but right after the music plays, Adam announces that we have a show in Stouffville at a Boston Pizza.
Yeah.
And in that announcement of the new live show that's coming up, you don't say the date of the show.
I do say that there's a Canada-Sweden game. I do want to say that.
Could be the gold medal game.
Say when the date of our live show is,
but it's
which I feel like is important information. So we're done the whole episode as of when we're talking to you right now in this pre-intro.
Thomas Hickey was great.
And Maddie rightfully pointed out that Adam never said the date of the show. So now
I said what time the doors open.
Now we are re-recording an intro where Adam, what day is the show?
February 12th. AKA 2 days before Valentine's Day. It's February 12th, February 12th, February 12th, February 12th. Boston Pizza Stouffville, brought to you by Molson. Should we start the show?
No. Steve, how do you feel about this situation?
Well. Looks like Stevie Boy isn't the only guy who forgets things. You know?
I did it. You're going to hear it. It's a really good plug. Like, it's a really, like,
I don't know.
Bring it in, and it's like, and I explain the details, and there's a whole contest that Molson's holding. It's really good.
No, I got to say, you can't call it really good when you miss the probably most important part.
Listen, okay, you listen to it.
Place.
You listen to it, okay? Leave a rating. I want it out of 10.
Okay.
I want it out of 10. Okay, you can dock marks for me missing the date. Fine. But I think it's a solid 8.5.
I think what you should
solid
do
8.5
is leave a long review without any number.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Without any number, because the number's just not important.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, why don't they just leave that out?
All right, now can we start the show?
Yes.
February 12th.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
And what an incredible show. Friday night in Coburg, sold out. We can talk a little bit more about the details. Talk a little bit more of the details a little bit later, but I just want to do a quick shout out right off the top of the show and say CJ and Julian did a great job, and if you were there, we so appreciated it. Coburg Papa was there.
Yes, he was.
At his own table, and that brings me to this. Our very next live show.
Where is it?
Boston Pizza.
Where?
In Stouffville.
Stouffville.
It's
like
actually
souffle, you know?
Stouffville.
They actually, the locals prefer you call it that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So we've been here before. We've been to this at Boston Pizza. That's where our good buddy Keith Acton, who was actually the franchisee for that Boston Pizza, that's the one. We did the interview with him last year, former Leafs assistant coach.
And longtime Craig Berube line mate.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. He told some great stories about Craig.
Friggin' did. That was a great episode.
Yeah, so the great thing about this one is you're live on location. You can watch Canada versus Sweden in the Four Nations Cup as soon as we're done. 5 p.m., doors open. 6:30, we do a show. And then at 8 o'clock, Canada plays Sweden. And we're going to be hanging out to watch along with you. And Steve's doing a watch along while there.
Yes. And I'm going to do such a good job.
You're going to do the greatest job. That's why
Really
you're wearing your Matt Sundin Djurgårdens jersey.
I was just cold.
Oh.
Wanted some extra layers.
Oh, I thought you were like, no, I'm getting pumped for the Four Nations,
Well,
baby.
I'm not going to be cheering for bloody Sweden, but the teams are going to be wearing a combination of the colors that I am.
So this is brought to you by Molson, the official beer sponsor of the, beer hockey and, official beer of hockey and partner of the Toronto Maple Leafs and PWHL.
You're doing great, man.
Every time guests order a Molson Canadian, they get to play Call the Shot, which you make predictions and it's a chance for $40,000 worth of prizing.
What?
Yeah.
Like at the Boston Pizza?
Yeah.
I'm going to win.
So if you order Molson at Molson Canadian down there, that's what's going to happen.
You get to play a game.
Yeah. So Molson Canadian, yeah, exactly. And it's worth, potentially $40,000.
I'm excited to see this.
Yeah. Me too, actually. Molson Canadian wants to bring everyone in on hockey. So we're very, very excited to be working with Boston Pizza and Molson Canadian on this.
I like it.
It's going to be fun. It's at 1060 Hoover Park Drive in Stouffville, and link is in the description. So you should be able to get tickets right away, like right now.
Do it.
Isn't that great? All right. Now, do we talk about the game?
Man.
Do we talk about how grumpy and angry we all must have been? I mean, Steve, you were on camera,
I was salty.
To be honest, like, Jesse, what kind of mood were you in after the first period?
Oh my gosh, that was an awful period. Yeah, not happy at all.
Not happy. I was not even talking. I couldn't even say anything.
Oh, I Had to.
Yes.
Drew got in my ear. It's funny. I just doing what I usually do. It's intermission, so I get to take a break. And Drew's like, there are too many people here for you to take a break. You have to keep going. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, you know what? No, I was in a slightly better mood than I should have been because I started going in your live stream chat and trolling you.
Yes.
There was a lot of all caps laugh, cry for me, clown, out of my keyboard to you. And the other members of the chat were enjoying it.
Yes.
So I kept it going.
A lot of clown emojis noticed. I just listen, we're talking about Leafs Habs. Best hockey day in Canada ever. Ever bar none. There was not a better one ever, not once. Sens Bruins, unhinged. Oilers Canucks, unhinged. Winnipeg Calgary being the most milquetoast of the four is crazy because that was a wild game too. And then Leafs Montreal. The Leafs did something they haven't done since 1940-2. Awesome. Best day of hockey in a very long time. Didn't feel like it after one. Was quite upset about that. Leading up to the 2-0 and 3-0 goals that came 9 seconds apart.
Mm-hmm.
You're professionals. How are you professionals? The 2-0 and 3-0 goals that came 9 seconds apart. I was like, it is going to be a miracle if they get out of this period down just 1-0. And if they do, the Leaf mind, at least mine, is broken. I was like, they're going to win this game if they get out of this period down 1-0, because there's no way they're going to be this bad in the second and the third. This is the bottom. Everything's going to be fine. They get out of here only down 1 goal. They're going to win this game. Holy shit. Wow. Line A with a line A shot, and it's deflected. It's hard enough to stop when it's not deflected. It goes off of Connor Timmins and in. And then Josh Anderson, if every Canucks game was on a Saturday night, they'd go 82-0. Mm-hmm. If every Josh Anderson game was against the Toronto Maple Leafs, he'd break Gretzky and soon to be Ovechkin's record. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Some people just have this thing. Jordan Stahl. Remember, we were going through it. We're like, here's his point pace against the rest of the league. 31 other teams. Here it is against the Leafs. It's 3 times higher.
Right.
That's Josh Anderson. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And it, after being 3-0 when the horn goes, it didn't feel like, hey, they're going to come back. It felt like they should be down 8. How many 10 bell saves did Joseph Woll make? In just the first.
It was
the first.
It was wild, and yet people were on him.
They were wrong.
They were like, we need more. We need better.
No.
They were.
I'm sure they were, but the majority of people, at least in the chat, were like, Jesus, this guy should get a belt and a loss.
Right.
And then he didn't even get it in a win.
Yep.
But, I mean, you can't give it to the goalie every game. He was the only reason that game was remotely watchable in the first 20 minutes. Then, second period,
I want to stop for a second.
Okay, sure.
Let's stop for a second.
I was like, am I just doing an LFR?
Yeah, I was wondering.
I was like, stop me. Ask some questions. Here we go.
I just want to know, how is it that Josh Anderson can do it against the Leafs and nobody else?
Man.
That goal was unbelievable. And you see why everybody's like, man, tantalizing skill with Josh Anderson.
Oh, I know.
And I know that Domi didn't make the best play on him, but Anderson deserves a lot of credit for making a great play on Domi.
It's a ballsy, confident play. It's like Matthews getting all these goals against the Devils. Explain it. Why? I mean, there's probably some reasons why, but he has more goals against the Devils than he does against most division rivals. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make any sense, right? So when it comes to Josh Anderson, it's like seeing a guy go 10, 15, 20 games without scoring a goal. He scores one, and all of a sudden he rattles off 5 in his next 5. It's confidence. If you're Josh Anderson, I don't know how much confidence you have these days, but every time the blue and white is on the other side of the ice, I think you're reminded a little bit of what you're capable of.
Right.
I think Martin St. Louis has a very easy job before every Leaf game where he Here, Josh, here's a YouTube link. And it's just goals against the Leafs. And it just shows what a monster he can be.
Yes.
The 2021 run, I just remember watching a bunch of games, and he could be so ineffective for the majority of the game. And then he just does a play like that where you're like, you're prime, you're Tage Thompson at his best. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Like at that size and that skill level and that drive and that goal scoring ability, you're Tage Thompson when he scored over 40 goals. That's what you look like there. And then the rest of the time, he just looks like some big guy who skates all right.
Right.
Like,
so
know?
that moment though, when he scores, it feels like just like nobody told the Toronto Maple Leafs, hey, it's Saturday night in Montreal. Didn't anyone mention it? But if you had told every fan, Leaf or Hab, in that building at Bell Center, which was just rocking in that first period,
why wouldn't it be?
That was the high point of the game, I don't think a single person would have believed you. If you'd asked a single person in that arena to go, I'm going to, you know what? Bet the comeback for the Leafs, especially the way they've been scoring. 2 games with over 4 goals in this entire year.
I cost Drew so much money.
Did you tell him to bet Canadians?
No, he told me, first of all, before the game, he's like, I don't know, for some reason I just have a feeling it's going to be 9-0 Leafs. Whoops. But then he's like, I'm going to bet the comeback. I'm like, Drew, don't bet the comeback. And he's like, you owe me $75.
Oh, wow.
He was, and then there were people
had to put down for that even to be 75, like $1, like
it was 10. Someone in the chat put the 25, I think, which is too rich for my blood, and they won like $200.
Wow. Wow.
They're like, Drew, I won $150. Oh wait, never mind. It just cashed out. It's actually $195. Get wrecked.
Yep. Yeah.
I cost him some money. I felt a little bad about that.
So then they go to the first intermission, and Jesse is clowning Steve in the chat, and Steve is not going to break. He's staying in. Got to keep people engaged. Montreal fans are having the best time. I think the numbers in your stream peaked in that intermission because they sure seemed to fall away after the first Bobby McMahon goal.
It was 3,500, and it started to go back up as the Leafs comeback mounted, but like not even close.
The Habs fans
Not
were in
even
there.
close.
Yeah, the Habs fans started to leave once the Leafs
they
scoring.
They didn't stick around, which is so weird. I don't know why they wouldn't have stuck around.
That's all right. I'm there, win or lose.
Now, the game starts to turn in the second period because the Leafs come out, I would say, guys, stronger.
It was the foot down moment. If it wasn't the final horn for the first period, was Arbor Jackeye rocking Ryan Reeves and nothing happening. And I don't know if something was said on the bench or if they just took it upon themselves, but all of a sudden Matthews is throwing his body around. I think he hit Caden Gooley pretty good. Connor Timmins is throwing his body around. I can't remember who he hit. But the game all of a sudden got a little chippier, and it's like the dragon woke up.
Yeah.
I don't know why, like you said, Hockey Night in Canada in Montreal, Leafs, Habs, it took until minute maybe 25 of the game for them to treat it like not every other NHL game. I don't know why it took them that, but even then, the turning point of the game wasn't them getting a little more possession, getting a little more shots, getting a little more scoring chances, throwing a few more hits. It was not going down 4-0. Was it Dvorak?
Put it off the post or something?
Puts it off the crossbar.
Yeah.
And it flings somehow perfectly to Bobby McMahon, who had to go to the bench to get Matthew Nye's stick. I didn't even know that in the moment. It flings around to him, and he has a perfect 2-on-1 with William Nylander. And I want to see those two stay together for a little while because McMahon never thought pass, and Nylander never thought I'm getting it. Never. So it's just McMahon against a pretty decent NHL goalie. He's going to be at the Four Nation faceoff, and he just snipes it through him. Rips it. And the celebration, like pointing at the bench for Nyes, like it's fun. I knew something strange had happened because I'm like, he's too happy for a team that's still down 2.
Right.
What happened? Something weird obviously happened.
Right. And it's weird plays like that sometimes get your momentum going. Now, lost in this, and I should have got to it earlier. Guys, was a lot going on.
The
Ryan Reeves, Arbor Xhekaj incidents. There was 2.
Right.
One where Ryan Reeves said we should go, and Arbor Xhekaj, obviously the very famous look at the score. Mm-hmm. And then the second one in the second period at the beginning where Arbor Xhekaj lays him out. Mm-hmm. Crushes him. And that's before Bobby's goal. Steve, you said it in the LFR. You think that if Reeves fights him, he probably doesn't win it.
I think he loses, probably. And I know a lot of Leaf fans don't want to hear that. Like, listen, he's changed his game and he's changed his body. He's still a very tough nut. He's a tough nut. But when Reeves was like the sheriff of the NHL, and he would tell you he still is, but he was probably cruising around at like 240. He's not 240 anymore. Xhekaj is probably in that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And then Xhekaj got it out of his system the next night.
Against Rempe.
Rangers are winning that game. Rempe instigates the fight, loses the fight. Rangers lose the game. So Xhekaj understands there is a time and a place to go. And I don't blame him for waving away Reeves. Like, people keep saying, oh, he's got 0 fights. He's got 0 fight. Yeah, no, it just means he hasn't jumped anybody. Like, no one wants to fight Ryan Reeves unless they absolutely have to. If the Leafs are up 3-0 there,
Xhekaj takes that fight.
I think Reeves might turn him down.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Reeves takes that fight and, like, let's say it's not even a loss. Let's say it's a draw and the Habs come back in that game and the Habs win that game 7-3. We're on here chewing him out a couple days later, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Ryan, why'd you have to get involved like that? Like, they're dead. They're dead in the water. They're down 3-0. Mm-hmm. And it's in Montreal, so it's a little different. The fight juices up not just the bench, but the whole building. Yep. What are you doing? What are you doing? But it was after he got rocked and nothing happened after that. I was like, all right, this guy doesn't need to be in the lineup right now.
So then...
Adam, you're pretty adamant about Ryan Reeves' role in that it's not useful for the Leafs anymore.
Well, I'm trying not to be because I keep prefacing this with I am pro Ryan Reeves.
It's because I
do think there is value to what he brings. I really do. But like, you know, when Berube started him. When he talked about it, he's like, yeah, physical nights, Montreal, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, man, like, this is the hottest team in the league right now.
Okay, so where was that, though? Where was that? The physicality. All right, it's Montreal. All right, where is that?
Well,
I didn't see any of it.
If it's not going to be fighting, because I don't need it to
I
be
wasn't talking fighting.
You gotta throw some hits, right? You gotta like throw like not just hits, like bone crushing, crowd gets into it type of hits.
Remove someone from the puck or something. He's thrown some pretty good ones this season, but it's been a while since he's been effective.
Jesse, we can get a lot from watching on screens at home, but we don't get the perspective you get. And if you were Craig Berube, would you have put Ryan Reeves in that lineup?
I think his thought process was the correct one going into the game, and Ryan Reeves can be useful if he's going to do the things like throw big hits and all that. But then you look at how he played, and Berube sat him from 14:05 in the second period. That was his last shift in the second. And then he came out for 1 23-second shift in the third period. So you essentially played down a man for half the game. If you're talking about halfway through the second or 14-ish, a little over half, and then the third period you use somebody for 23 seconds. So if you're playing somebody like that, then it's not really justifiable to have that person in the lineup if you're just going to play down a man for half a game.
Now, devil's advocate, he shortened his bench, and I friggin' loved it. That you could argue the way he got the blender out in the final 40 minutes, some of his finest coaching as Leafs coach. The other argument is you go into that game, Habs are one of the hottest teams in the league because they're good at hockey now. And then you also have no response for Xhekaj, who's not afraid of Ryan Reeves, but it's a consideration. and you have no response for Pizzetta, who is also not afraid of Ryan Reeves and will fight him. Like, Ryan Reeves isn't in that game, what happens? It's a completely different game, I think. We'll never know. But you can't tell me those guys aren't looking at their roster, looking at that one and going, oh, shit. There's a lot of flies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flies, and they're big ones.
So you use Ryan in things like that. And ultimately, like, you know, the question of Ryan Reeves, I think, is, you know, does he or does he not keep the flies off?
Well, I don't think he's there to keep the fight number high. I think he's there to keep it low.
Right. Or keep the cheap shots low.
Yeah, like, well, and I mean, the Leafs still got hit.
Yeah. I didn't see a lot of cheap shots, though.
No. It was a hard fought game. It was not Edmonton, Vancouver. It's one of those things. We talked about this. I think Ryan Reeves is our COVID prevention strategy. You're never going to see the results. You're never going to see the people who didn't get sick. Mm-hmm. How do you keep that stat? You only see the incidents or you don't see the incidents that were prevented by his presence. What made me react so viscerally to it is after he got hit and just got up and nothing happened. I was like, you have no purpose here then. And this is embarrassing. Like that. It's funny. There was
you say that so that I didn't get the minute you just spent before that trying to justify.
Yeah, well, it's been 2 days, so I've had time to be rational about it and think about it. And no, in the moment, I was like, get this bum out of the lineup. I don't want to see him in a Leaf uniform ever again. Yeah. Because I don't know. That's the beauty of the streams and the LFR and the SDP. You get my thought evolution as time goes, right? You're watching me turn into a mature adult in real time. And then,
and nobody's a mature adult in the moment.
No! Watching a sports game? Get out of here.
That's not why you watch.
It wasn't. It's funny. It actually took me like a minute or so of ranting to look up at the score bug, and I went, oh, it's still 3-0. Because for a moment, that hit, I was so embarrassed by it that I thought it was a goal. Like my brain tricked itself into being like, they're down 4 now. The game is done. And they lived and they scored. And all of a sudden, they went from being down like 10-0 in my mind to, oh, they're within 2. Just like 35 minutes. They could do this.
Right.
It changed on a dime. So those are two pivotal moments.
The COVID prevention thing is your devil's advocate point. Is that worth it to not have a player you can use down the stretch of a game in an entire period? Because everybody else got shifts. Like I know he was out, he had the blender out, but like if you look at all the fourth line guys, they were out there for 5, 6 shifts. David Comp played a lot in the third period, so they're using everybody except for this one person. And is it justifiable to have him out there for half a game so that you don't get in Arbor Jackeye doesn't fight somebody and then you can't use an extra body? Or is it more useful just to have another player who can play 8 minutes? Because Ryan Reeves right now isn't playing 8 minutes. He's played 6:30 on Saturday.
Which seems high, honestly. I think if this is December, they don't make this decision. Because in December, they played 1 million back-to-backs. January, I don't think they have any. You have a day of rest the next day. You're not playing Tampa till Monday. They'll live. You can do.
Sure, they won.
Well, they won, but like I saw the fourth line go out there, and sometimes it was Lorentz, Kampf, Marner, and sometimes it was Lorentz, Kampf, Nylander, and I went, yeah, all right. Like I don't have a problem with how many extra shifts did Marner and Willie have to pick up combined because they didn't go to Reeves in those moments? 3, 4? With no game the next day, like I think that's okay. I think
it's an interesting strategy.
It is an interesting. I mean, it's the strategy you would go to in the playoffs. Counter argument to that would be it's January. You're going to wear these guys out pretty fast. I I mean, there's Philippe Myers got benched in this game, and as long as we're talking about guys who are not going to be in the lineup next game.
So it is Philip Myers?
Philip Myers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said Philip? I didn't hear what you said. All I heard
Okay, now I know what to call it.
Philip Myers.
He's not from Quebec.
So he's not?
No.
Where's he from?
Like Nova Scotia or like Boston or something. I don't know. He's just not.
Those are not the same.
There's no French. Just yeah.
Because he played in the queue as well.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, whoops.
I'm looking it up.
Moncton.
New Brunswick.
Oh yeah. So yeah, there it was.
There's got to be
You
French
New
kids-
Brunswick
Yeah,
folks, you're tricky.
But New
You tricked
Brunswick, New
us.
Brunswick is the only truly bilingual province in the country.
They're so tricky.
So it could be Philippe.
It's not.
That is a lot of French.
It's not.
It's Philip.
No.
All right, fine.
Checked.
It's spelled Philippe.
Daywalker. Yes, that's no.
It's not Lawrence. It's Lawrence.
It's
Here, because
that one's just us getting.
we were
it wrong.
talking about. If you want to do this now, we were talking about Lorenz. So I got the official pronunciation guide from the Leafs.
Attaboy.
So we can't get confused anymore.
Oh, it is Simone.
So there
Simone
you go.
Benoit.
Here's all the names. Everybody listening, you can't see, but we have all the Leafs and then the phonetic pronunciation.
Maddie's
upset.
we need Maddie Mike. She's losing her mind.
Who are you upset at?
Is this accurate though? Because didn't we establish just Yarn Krook, not Yarn Croak?
It's Yarncroak.
Well,
according
this
to the
is
Leafs.
It's the
issued from the Leafs.
Swedish
Yes.
pronunciation.
Yeah, but
though.
we don't do the Swedish. But
Okay.
it's not
Yeah.
Fedotov. It's
Whatever.
Fedotov.
So-
Okay,
so-
with respect to Dave Gord Miller.
Yeah, the Swedish one, I've thrown it out the window. It's Swedish. I don't know.
Maddie,
All
Maddie,
right,
But-
fine. Let's just disrespect
Steven,
cultures.
what? No, this is how he says to pronounce it.
Philip Myers.
no. This
do you
is
mean
key.
disrespect?
But some of this.
No, Maddie,
this is the
key.
Leafs, Maddie.
All right, fine.
what's
I'm
key
just
about
saying, we
this?
got a lot of shit from fans. That was Yarn Krook.
The Swedes, more than any other nationality in the NHL, just give up.
All right.
Yeah,
And
that's
they're
what I'm
like,
saying.
say my name however you want.
So the one that why I went and got this is Lawrence. It's Lawrence. From the
Lorenz.
Leafs, it is Lawrence.
Stephen Lawrence.
There you go.
I like
All right.
Lawrence better.
MIHTCH for Mitch is entirely unnecessary.
Oh yeah, they phonetically spelled Mitch Marner.
And even more personally, STEE-VEHN for Steven. I don't know. I feel like most cultures will nail that, but all right.
And if you'll see on the right there, Philip Myers.
Philip Myers.
All right, Philip.
That's what it's going to be. I'm still calling him Stephen Lawrence. I can't break that habit, but I can do Philip Myers.
I'm going to try. I just, sometimes I'll correct a name in an LFR, and like I don't make a big performance of it. Like I am pronouncing it this way or whatever. I just do it. And all the comments are, what is that? Stop that. I'm very uncomfortable. You got it wrong. Please stop doing that.
Seeing something like doer spelled phonetically is funny. Doer.
Dude, Ryan Reeves is RIGHUHN.
Wow, it's like
All of these are upsetting. All of these are very upsetting.
Look at William.
William
knee land.
and
William.
propane accessories.
Nylander. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, you could
Anyways.
try your best.
Pronunciation guide from the Leafs. If anybody wanted it, it's on the screen.
by the way, Connor Timmins, if you go to phonetic, it's so much more complicated to try to like if you didn't know, like it's so complicated to read. Timmins. Like look at it. TIH-MIHNZ. Timmins.
The only one that they didn't do some sort of phonetic pronunciation because it's so straightforward is Max.
Max!
Max
Oh,
is
Max,
the only
yeah.
one. Where
It's just capitalized. Max!
Me.
Anyway.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't even know they did that, Jesse. That's very cool that they did
Yeah,
that.
it's in the media kit thingy.
But these are things. These are things that we would not know if Jesse was not down there. Because reporters of the Leafs are like, yeah, why would I talk about that?
Right.
Whereas fans like us are like, that's kind of neat. I didn't know that. You know?
That entire sheet just made it harder for all of them. Except for Philip Myers.
I would
Philip
say-
Myers is the only one it fixed.
I just want to say that Jesse, I appreciate you bringing that.
Thank you.
No, there's
that.
useful stuff.
Yes.
There's some really useful stuff being there.
Okay.
Pronunciation guides.
Yeah.
That stuff.
I'm trying to decide.
Steve's obsessed now.
No. There's two that I can't decide
We're
which
lingering,
is,
but okay.
I can't decide
we are.
which is more upsetting.
All right.
RIGH-UHN for Ryan or TH apostrophe YEU for Matthew. That one, I'm very upset. I'm protesting.
It's for people who need that pronunciation. Like, Matthew, so you need the people who don't know how to say it need that.
But how'd they decide he was the only guy on the team who gets an apostrophe? He was the only one.
Because that's how it's spelled phonetically.
No, I'm upset.
Oh.
I'm upset. Anyway.
That was right. We're lingering.
So, Tampa Bay.
What?
Monday. No. Tampa. No. This applies.
To what?
To what we were talking about before we got to this.
All right.
Tampa Bay Monday has a different lineup construction than the Montreal Canadiens do. And I don't think you need Ryan there.
Yeah. Jonas Johansson is starting. That was just announced. So that's
Okay.
an opportunity for the Leafs as well. Although
Maybe.
Jonas Johansson seems to be good against them.
Well, it's like for years you'd find out the Rangers were starting their backup instead of Lundqvist.
And it was
you'd go,
Georgiev.
damn!
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's Georgiev making 50-something saves.
Lundqvist was weirdly bad against the Leafs, right?
I sent that to the president of the Sharks.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, holy moly.
Yeah. So then at the end of the period, it's just to wrap this up, and this is, I wanted to talk the comeback. We don't have to talk, 5 goals in a row in the third period, but the Nick Robertson goal on the power play. This is a power play that's been under the whether or not you believe it's anemic or not, it's been under the microscope. And for Nick Robertson to get his 8th goal on a tip towards the end of the period, it was clear that the Leafs needed to go into the third period down just 1 goal. You needed that goal.
So hyped to score that goal that he blew off Oliver Ekman-Larsson for the celebration.
Oh, did he?
Because he was just in the hockey fetal position going, this is part of the reason it's nice to still have Nick Robertson. Isn't just his ability to score goals. God, no one on this team, maybe no one in this league, plays every single game like it might be their last in the NHL, like Nick, because it might be. He's fighting for his life every time he gets in the lineup. Every single time. God, this guy's...
Does anybody enjoy scoring more?
No one. Maybe Ovechkin.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, he likes that.
But
no one gets that raw joy like an 8-year-old scoring their first goal, like Nick Robertson.
He scored at least 3 first NHL goals this year.
Right.
After scoring them in 2020. Every game he's out there fighting for his life.
And then in the third period, Nylander's back on track. He's got goal 27. Ekman-Larsson, Matthews, Lawrence.
Hey.
Who am I talking about?
Hey.
And David Kampf. And
with the Nick Robertson goal,
Yep.
I like that on the power play. It was Morgan Riley who came up and did the breakout in the power play. And he did the little turnaround slingshot to Domi, but it wasn't a direct, hey, I'm at center ice, I'm just going to turn my entire body around and pass it back to the forward coming up. It was like a half slingshot where Domi was coming up on the side and he passed it to him and Domi made a great entry and then he dumped it off and then they made the little play in the tip in. It was good. It was a good little adjustment on the power play, and it led to a goal. So I think that needs some acknowledgement. That the power play 2 for 4 on Saturday, and Adam's going to be upset that it wasn't 4 for 4.
Well, who got both goals? Second unit.
Yep.
Second unit, baby.
It's almost like it can be useful.
Dude.
Imagine.
Dude. Come on. It's good. It's working. But it's also working the way a lot of fans have been screaming the way it would work for 2 months. Just play the second unit a little bit more. Come on, they can do it. They can do it. I promise you, they can do it. Oh my God.
So obviously the Leafs score a bunch of goals, win the game. We get existential about the Leafs when periods like this happen, and I can understand why they get annoyed with us. I can understand why the players are like, "Oh my God," rolling their eyes at the media. I get it. Because the context of this is, hey, guys, there's 9 years of this where we die in critical moments.
Yeah.
And these guys are going, yeah, but that's last year, and I haven't even thought about that because I'm an athlete, and that's how athletes are wired. Mm-hmm. We're wired to think of it all in the aggregate, right? Mm-hmm. So if we can get existential on the negative side, Is there anything existential we can say on the positive side when they come back and win a game like this? And as you said, it's the first time since 1943 or 44 that they've
42.
done 42 that they've done this. That was great in the LFR. You did a great job.
Thank
you and Drew were amazing on that.
Someone left a comment. They said Steve made this LFR like the rent was due, and that,
Yeah.
that was the greatest compliment I've ever been paid.
Is there anything that we can deduce from this team that perhaps, like, listen, you're going to win comeback games, you're going to have, but usually I would say in games like this, the reason we all got so down and out was because it was Saturday night, it was the first period, and we're used to this team. When a game like that happens, it just it becomes 4-5-0.
I mean, in previous years, Leafs get down 2 or 3 goals. You go, they might.
Well, Jesse was always like, bet the comeback. And right?
This, like, I think of New Jersey as the turning point in the season if this thing keeps up, because for that entire stretch before that New Jersey game, I was so down on the Leafs in their ability to score big goals and come back in games. And it seems like something unlocked in that game where they fired, it was 40 plus shots on goal, and then they had the great comeback win there. And then in Montreal, they do something very similar where they can pile on these goals and they're no longer out of every game. And it seemed like for a long time, for all of those months, Berube sucked a lot of that life out of the Leafs. And if now he's able to get that back into this team where he's able to juggle all the lines, throw out the big guys and get timely scoring from them where they can score 3-4 goals in a row, like that's a new element on top of the tight hockey that he has them playing. So what if the team is now both? What if they're a high scoring team and also a tight defense team, also with a great goaltender in net? Mm-hmm. This is a perfect recipe for a good playoff run.
Soon to be 2 great goaltenders in net. This team over the last 2 games has erased 4 deficits, totaling for 6 goals. That's not something we've really been able to say this season.
Yeah, not this year for sure. And they had this element last year, and they didn't have all of the other parts of the team. And now, if they can have all of it together, like, it's really good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's really important. And I like that you pointed out the New Jersey game too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Joseph Woll, on top of everything, like what he did on Saturday was fantastic. And they had the stat in the New Jersey game about how the last time the Leafs lost 4 in a row was a Sheldon Keefe or Mike Babcock team. And you look at nuts. Joseph Woll, he in his entire NHL career has never lost 3 games in a row. Because I was like, okay, if Sheldon Keefe never lost 4, Joseph Woll's probably got a pretty good record because he hasn't started that many games, you know. So, but if you look at all of his starts back to back, he's only lost 2 games in a row, never 3. Man. And he's been great. And I think for the price that they're paying, 3.4,
starting next year,
he's an under $800,000 goaltender right now, and he's about to make his 25th start of the year, 24th, which will be the most starts he's ever made in a season. Wow. If he starts tonight in Tampa. I don't know what the projected, I didn't look at the lines yet. But to see this emergence of him, and I think we don't give enough credit to the Leafs organization, is that they finally got one themselves. This is a Toronto Maple Leafs draft pick. They developed a goalie for a long time now, for a number of years in the minors.
18 or 16 was his draft year?
16.
Wow.
2016. He's been in this organization with Matthews and Marner and Nylander this entire time, and they let him cook in the minors. They let it develop. They let it grow into, we have a bona fide starter here. It's half a season. Like, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but from everything we have in the evidence, they have a great goaltender here that they developed on their own, a 3rd-round draft pick from 2016.
Here are the lines for today. Nyes, Matthews, Marner, McMahon, Holmberg, Nylander, Domi, Minton, Robertson, Lawrence, that's hard to do. Lawrence, Kampf, Dewar. Reeves is an extra. Pacioretty is absent with something with his upper body. I would assume that it had to do with the puck to the face.
Yeah, you remember when he was on the bench?
Oh my god! Yeah, and he couldn't leave.
Yeah, because you got to cross
stupid
the
Bell Center. Yeah.
Wait, that was actually a very pivotal moment in the game that a lot of people left behind. That I also forgot to mention in the LFR. That dude got rocked in the head by a puck, and if he just stays down. That play dies. They never get that second goal. They probably never win that game. Or they might not win that game.
Right, if they blow the whistle because he's
If they blow the whistle or if he stays down but because he got up and went to the bench, that allowed the Leafs to get that second goal. I know he didn't create it or anything, but he had a decision to make there, and I guess just by fortune, they didn't blow the play dead and friggin' scored a goal. They're within one, and they go to intermission.
I assume you let Pacioretty sit a couple of games here.
I think so.
Recover. No, we don't need to force this. Get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, McCabe missed, 5 games after taking a puck to the head? Scary thing,
It was
man.
less, wasn't it? He came back a little early.
He missed a few.
Yeah, it was like four maybe.
He missed more when he took a puck to the head than when he got taken down by Hathaway.
Believe the Leafs are 21-9-1 when Pacioretty's playing. So
Holy shit.
it was 2 games ago. It was 19. The last time he was
Oh,
scratched,
that's
it was
right,
19-9-1, and now they've won 2 games with him in the lineup. So valuable guy, you would expect.
Here, I want a Jesse stat about Joseph Woll.
Sure.
In terms of drafting and developing an NHL starter, they drafted a starter in Tuukka Rask.
Yeah, no, they gave up.
He doesn't count. But Joseph Woll drafted in 2016, the last bona fide long-term NHL goalie they drafted before him was 10 years prior, James Reimer in 2006. And before him, it was Felix Potvin in 1990.
This organization doesn't do this.
No. No. So unreal job with Joseph Woll, and hopefully Hildeby, hopefully Akhtimov, hopefully some other guys in the system cook a little bit.
Yeah, and you look at other organizations like the Rangers who go from Lundqvist to Shesterkin, and they don't realize how lucky they have it because a lot of us just sit here and year after year you got to find the scraps of goaltending, and you try and trade for guys, or you sign this guy and you're like, oh, maybe he can emerge as the starter. We'll get 2 and one of them will be good, and then there are other teams that are just every year they draft good goaltending.
The Ducks.
The Ducks.
Gibson, Anderson. Now we'll just pitch Anderson out the door.
Didn't they draft
Dostal?
I don't know.
They might.
I think he was a stall. I think he was a Ducks pick, and then he ended up in Florida.
He was definitely in that organization.
Yeah.
Dude, some team, and even the Rangers. We don't need this Cam Talbot guy.
Oh, he was a Flyers draft pick.
Pitch him out the
Weird.
door.
Stollers was a Flyers draft pick.
That makes sense why he's good.
And he was in. I didn't know Anthony Stollers played 6 games with the Oilers 7 years ago.
Oh, I forgot about
That's
that.
nuts.
I didn't.
Didn't play great,
that.
but he did.
A lot of orange.
Vancouver, throughout the years, they've been a great goalie drafting organization, and just some teams don't have it, and the Leafs don't have it, and they finally got one, and Joseph Woll hopefully can be the goaltender for
I'll be the first to admit it. I was questioning that contract.
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
okay with it.
And I'm just.
I did. I said it last year. I was like, dude, the guy's
Stollers?
never played more than no, not Stollers. I was so
Woll.
on board with Stollers. Wall had never played more than 30 games in a season, and I was like, we're gonna give him 4 more years.
So let's get 2 of them.
Yeah,
That'll add up to how many games are in a season?
yeah. Damn, that's 20 games short. Damn
Well,
it.
we'll
all right, Dennis.
figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But listen, man, I think I'm allowed to question things and be wrong. And admit it. And admit it.
And I want to point out Matt Murray of the Toronto Maple Leafs organization, 3rd star of the week for the AHL. Adam,
But you know what about the Calder?
the Cavalry. Cavalry.
That feels like a diss.
What?
That's
No, it's
actually
not.
hard-
He had
that's
back-to-back
really hard to do.
shutouts.
That's really hard
It's a
to
good
do.
thing. It's a
Yeah.
very good thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he was still the second best Matt Murray in the AHL because the other Matt Murray got 2nd star.
The Stars map.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so mean. That was a diss.
So
The first part wasn't.
Fraser Minten in the lineup tonight. I just want to quickly touch on that. What are you guys looking for? How does he stay in the lineup? And if he stays in the lineup, I just want to qualify this before I get your breakdowns on it. If he stays in the lineup and he's effective in whatever role they need him, they don't have to go out and spend big assets on a Ryan O'Reilly or try to get into a bidding war over Brock Nelson.
What's his line?
His line is Domi, Mitten, Robertson.
Oh boy.
So
Okay.
he's-
So you're
babysitter.
automatically, you're automatically the most offensively responsible person on that line. That line, obviously, with Domi and Robertson, needs to generate offense. Minton proved in his last stint with the Leafs that he needs to generate offense. So I'm not terribly worried about that. Your mission against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are a very good hockey team, is don't drown. Don't drown. Don't get swimming around. Don't get hemmed in. Don't look the way your 2 line mates typically do in a lot of games. Those guys, even when they're playing well, you can count on at least 1 or 2 shifts a game where the puck is in your zone for 30 seconds or more. So
Make sure that it isn't.
if you can make those two look good defensively, hot damn, you should stay in the NHL.
I don't love Domi moving down. I like him on the wing, but I like him with elite players.
But he got taken off, like he got moved, and Holmberg got moved up because he wasn't playing well.
Right.
And Holmberg, I think, excelled.
He had a good game.
Yeah, Holmberg was really good.
I liked
and
him.
Holmberg deserves to remain there with Nylander and McMahon because of how they closed Montreal.
We've seen Nylander play well with McMahon. We've seen Nylander play well with Holmberg. I think Holmberg on the left of Minton and Robertson is a waste of everyone's time. That's why they're going with this combination.
Okay.
Yeah, this is kind of they forced your hand with how they played, right?
Right.
Like Domi doesn't deserve to be at 2C, and Holmberg earned it with the Montreal game, and yeah, Minton makes sense in the middle, and
They need him to be.
I don't know how it's gonna go. I'm hopeful that they're all a little defensive responsible, but I know Robertson and Domi might not be.
That is going to be the all offensive zone starts line. And the Lawrence Kampf Dewar line is going to be all defensive. You're going to get
Lawrence.
I'm doing it. I'm making it. It was an effort, Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't saying that was easy.
No.
I wasn't saying that was. Oh, thank you, Maddie.
And
Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate
someone
that.
underratedly who needs to have a really good game here is Simone Benoit.
Yes,
Because you're sort of, you're obviously not on the outside looking in tonight. And Myers, who I started to really like, oh my God, what I said about Minton, don't drown, blah, 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 blah. Like, he has not been doing great recently. Benoit has to have a really good game and take that last spot back.
All right, now let's get to the BetMGM big story. 3 weeks away from the Four Nations face-off, and it's time to start thinking about, in real terms, what these teams are going to look like. So for the big story, I'm just going to highlight one of the things that you can kind of look at, and I would like to know how you guys would handle this. So there's obviously going to be a round robin, and there'll be points awarded for that round robin, okay? You can go into BetMGM's website and go USA versus Canada head-to-head round robin team points. Meaning, do you think Canada will have more points than the US will have more points than Canada, or if you want to get totally nuts, you can bet the tie.
That's nuts.
So right now, USA versus Canada head-to-head round robin points. Canada has USA has a slight edge at 210. Canada at 220. If you bet the tie, it's 750.
Yeah, because it's not going to happen. That might be a $2 Steve, like just in case.
Right.
Really tough. States are favored there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Slightly. I think they should be favored more, to be honest.
If I go with anything there, I actually might be tempted to go with the tie, just because I think the States are going to have more goals. They're
But like, this is just points. This is just total win points. Not as
in the standings.
Yes, that's all I'm talking about.
Oh,
Because it's pretty easy. You're playing 3 games. You can
that's
have
not very many games.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maddie.
You're really struggling with it.
Jesse, what would you do?
I would take
The computer's broken.
I
for
would
now.
take the USA to finish the round robin with more points than Canada, because Canada generally struggles in round robin rounds. Like, we think about every great Olympic win that Canada's had, they usually falter against some
2010
team in the round robin. So I think Four Nations will kind of play out similar, and I can see USA with all their stars just come into play and finishing the round robin with more points, and then maybe Canada makes the finals anyways.
How about this? Don't hedge your bets like a coward. Bet on Canada. The odds are in your favor. Boom.
Now, here's the one that the two teams most likely to tie in points, according to the odds, are Finland and Sweden. That's still 7 times whatever you put down.
That's so silly. I'm tempted to just throw $4 on 2 ties.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that can't happen. Can they all tie?
Well,
after round
at
robin?
that point you're hedging. You're hedging.
Yeah, no, that's dumb.
Well,
They
there's nothing
all
wrong-
could tie
Yeah.
if they all kind of lost and won to each other.
I would actually take Finland there.
As the winner,
Yeah, because there's something funny going on in Sweden.
you get
right
better.
now.
You get better odds for that, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, Sweden's program has been a little dysfunctional, feels like a strong word, but like All that crap talking of Vera Karlsson, Elias Pettersson, has really struggled at times this year. Finland just always shows up in these damn tournaments like just a swarm of hornets. I'd go with Finland.
Okay. So guaranteed Sweden's in the finals.
Yeah. What?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, USA, Sweden, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. I'm
don't doubt it.
Whatever Steve just said, I want the opposite.
Don't doubt it.
Steve, who's the top goal scorer for Canada? The odds go McDavid, Point, Reinhart, McKinnon, Crosby, Konechny, Stone, Hagel, Marchand.
McKinnon's that far down?
He's fourth.
McKinnon.
Oh, well. Okay.
I know he hasn't been a sniper this year. He's been a playmaker, but he's not playing on the Avalanche. He's playing on Canada.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are just some of the things. Like we'll talk about some of the other things you can do in the upcoming weeks. But betmgm.com/dangle for terms and conditions. And Four Nations is upon us, just 3 weeks away.
Ooh, that's fun. That's fun. I'm actually, the closer it gets, the more I'm looking forward to it.
I made a gigantic mistake on Saturday night.
You watched my stream?
No, that was good. I did watch that.
I gave you the opportunity.
I did watch that.
Be a meanie, and you didn't take it.
No, I didn't. I didn't on that one because it was a really good stream. I have to give credit where it's due. But
thanks, pal.
But watched the first 2 periods of the Vancouver Edmonton game. Mm-hmm. Loved it, but I was like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed. And boy, was that an idiotic decision.
Dumb,
stupid, dumb, bad. And
way to be well rested.
This moment right here is the moment that I missed and saw the next day while I was having my coffee in the morning. And it is Connor McDavid and Connor Garland. The Connors going head to head. And the
NHL's got to do something about their Connor problem.
That's right.
They have too many.
Now, Connor Garland straight up admitted after this that he's probably the best to ever do it. So I basically had to tie him down while they were trying to tie the game. And Vancouver ultimately won this game. Big emotional win. But Connor McDavid is getting a call from Player Safety today for a high stick, well, not a high stick, a cross check to the face of Connor Garland. This in the wake of him elbowing, who was it earlier?
Marcus Johansson.
And just
on Wednesday.
And really not much happening there either. I think
literally nothing.
Yeah, not much as in zero.
So I think this is where the NHL goes, okay, that's twice in 1 week. We got to do something here.
I think this is where the NHL should be asked the question, do you like your monster Dr. Frankenstein?
What do you mean?
They caused this. They don't protect this player enough. And a few years ago, Connor McDavid made the decision, I'm going to become Captain Elbow. And he brought that out for a while. It went away for a little bit. And now he's getting mugged again. So guess what? Enjoy friggin' Mr. McDavid's chiropractic practice. Now, make no mistake. If he gets anything less than 2 games, I'm filling my diaper up to the brim. That is a carbon copy of Matthews Dahlin. Mm-hmm. Carbon copy, that's 2 games. At least. There's no reason for that to be less. Mm-hmm. Than what Matthews got. None.
I can see 1 game.
Okay, tell us.
Outrageous.
Tell us.
Outrageous.
I forget which was the cross check last year that got 1 game.
They have not stuck to that standard. Even I
think the NHL Department of Player Safety in the last couple seasons has admitted that the Matthews suspension was 1 game too many. And they've gone back to it's probably 1 game. I could see 1 game or 2 games. So absolutely, either one of those, I think, is the correct call.
Absolutely. I mean, it helps that Garland wasn't hurt. I mean, neither was Dahlin. It helps that Garland wasn't hurt. But, a lot of NHL guys and old school guys were like, I don't have a problem with McDavid.
It was the Timo Meier one.
Oh, yeah.
The Timo Meier one, I think, is the exact same as this, and that was 1 game. So I think they've recorrected themselves, fair or not, which probably not, that it's probably 1 game for cross-checking to the face. And we debated that at the time. We're like, that should have been 2 because it was the same as Matthews, but I think that's the direction they probably want to go. But if they go 2, I don't think there's any problem with that. I think either or, you shouldn't complain.
Meier looks, to me, Meier is more comparable to the Myers one, which we'll get to, because for definitely Tyler Myers, and a bit for Timo Meier, I was like, oh, why did you do that? There was no lead up to that at all. For McDavid Garland, just like Matthews Dahlin, there was a lead up to it. It's a net front thing.
This wasn't net front.
Sure it is.
No, it's not.
That's in front of the net.
Well, it's hash marks, but yeah.
Well, sorry.
No.
Sorry. It begins closer to the blue line because here's the thing, and this is why I say, do you like your monster? Yeah, but that's not where the cross check is. The lead up takes 15 seconds at least.
Yes. It looked actually a lot like Winnipeg, Edmonton in the first round in the COVID bubble. That's what they did to him all series.
That's one of the most underratedly poorly officiated series like in recent memory.
It also kind of sucked because Edmonton, I think, probably should have won that series.
Oh, they shouldn't have got swept.
Yeah.
Steve, I think you're it's not a net front thing in that wasn't a battle in front of the net for position.
Okay,
this was
battle in the slot.
No, I'm trying.
Okay, sorry. Go for it. Sorry.
This was Connor Garland jumping on a man in the middle of the zone.
Yes.
There was no justification for a hockey play in front of the net where two guys are battling. Mm-hmm. This is, he illegally was on top of him for, I counted it on Saturday, it was 14 seconds. And in that instance, Connor Garland, like big brain play, genius, tackle Connor McDavid and nobody can do anything. He admitted it post-game, as Adam said. And because it's so late in the game, there's nothing to be done about that. If they get 2 minutes, they call the 2-minute penalty with the play stopped at, it was like 2.3 seconds left. So they get a power play for 2.3 seconds and 6-on-4 and they try and score off the faceoff. Useless, So I don't know what needs to be done in this situation, but Connor Garland and the referees here made a giant error in letting this thing go on.
So, Jesse, here, I need you to bring up the Connor Garland talking after the game. Because it's important to hear that quote. Because it explains why this happened. And McDavid is going to explain during his hearing why this happened. And it's not going to make a lick of difference because we've seen the Leafs deal with this a bunch of times. And it's never helped them. Needle. Explosion. Punishment. You go, yes, but needle. And the NHL goes, we don't care. We don't care. What's different about this, or what I think is noteworthy about this, is you have a player. I've never heard a player so casually and openly admitting, yeah, no, I cheated. That's what Garland's doing. Well, I figured I would cheat as it was the best strategy to cheat. I evaluated the strategies in front of me, and the best one appeared to be to cheat. So I cheated and got away with it. We got 2 points.
And now McDavid's going to get suspended.
The captain and best player in the league, but captain for a divisional rival, you're trying desperately to make the playoffs, is about to be out of the lineup for probably 2 games. So you secured 2 points in the standings by cheating. And now the result of your cheating and making a guy snap because expecting Wes McCauley to do a fucking thing is just absurd. By doing that, you help the Canucks in more ways than one. So
it's just audio, Maddie, so don't worry about the video portion.
I'm just holding them. I mean, he's the best player to ever do it. So, the time's running out, and I just thought that was maybe the best way for us to win a game was to do that. I don't want to hurt him. I want to hold him and, hurt him in any way. So, just try to get up and hold him down. But he's a passionate guy. He's, a good dude. And, I mean, I don't think he was, it's just his passion. It's a tight game. It's late in the game. Everybody has the, fire in their belly trying to win a hockey game. So that's stuff that happens.
It's just passion because I was cheating. You all thought I was exaggerating. He's like, no, I decided to cheat, and that's how we won the game. Connor, how'd you win that game? Well, you see, I cheated. And it's not just that he's holding McDavid. It's one thing if he's got him in a bear hug. This dude's got him in like a scissor kick, friggin' Skate blades are flying all over the place. Dion Phaneuf missed how much time? Because he got slashed by a skate that came across, I think it was the back of his thigh, because there's nothing there. And that's exactly where Garland has 2 feet hooked. And so no penalty is called. And there was a discussion on 32 Thoughts that it didn't quite get to where I wanted to go, which is, okay, you call a penalty on Garland there. The Oilers have the Canucks hemmed in. The Canucks have to touch the puck in order to...
for it to be a penalty.
For the play to be dead, and
yeah.
then the Oilers get a 6-on-4 and blah, blah, blah. I think that's ridiculous. And there needs to be something done, some kind of amendment that doesn't just incentivize, as casually expressed by Connor Garland, cheating. It's game 7. Stanley Cup on the line. Why not just, like, there's 10 seconds left in the game, face off in your zone, they win the draw. Mm-hmm. And it's 6-on-5. Just 2-hand slash everybody. 2-hand slash absolutely everybody. Put all 5 guys on the ice in the box and replace them with another 4. And then with, I don't know, if you're dumb enough to touch the puck, I guess. I don't understand why in that situation with, let's say there's 18 seconds left on the clock. They call it immediately. Canucks touch it immediately. Why the Canucks are in charge of their own destiny there. Okay, we held the best player in the world because it was the best strategy. Now, as long as we don't touch the puck, we're fine. So the Canucks can commit an infraction. Any team. It's not about the Canucks. Relax. Any team can take a penalty in the dying seconds of the game, and as long as they're not stupid enough to touch the puck, they get the advantage of holding the best player in the world, and they don't have to deal with the consequences by losing a player. Doesn't it seem like there should be something there where, okay, if there's under a certain amount of time left, you just blow it dead? Yeah, but then the Oilers... they lose all the momentum and maybe they, okay, fine. I think if there's under a certain amount of time left, it's a penalty shot. Otherwise, you have this bullshit. And it's again.
I think you're leaving it open to subjectivity there. It would just cause more shit.
Well,
but you just call a penalty. Just call a penalty.
No, okay. Once the clock runs out, no, there isn't no time left in the game. It's a penalty shot. And if it goes in, it's overtime. If it's not, the game's over. I don't understand why anyone would have a problem with that, because the alternative is a player cheats, casually and blissfully admits to cheating. Everyone around him laughs because of how openly he's just like, yeah, I cheated. The Canucks get 2 points in the stand. What if this was the final game of the season? Canucks make the playoffs, Oilers don't. Yeah, well, I cheated. What?
I think it would just sail on by. Nobody would have an issue.
No, of course they wouldn't, because the NHL doesn't really give a fuck about the integrity of sporting. And we've talked about this before. What's better for entertainment value? What's better? No, man. Like, it's hockey. It's points in the standings. This shit counts. We're trying to figure out who's better. Like, if you're down 1, I think Tyler Dello, who's now assistant GM of the Hurricanes, wrote about this a long time ago. It's lawless out there when you're down 1 and the net's empty. Like, if someone has a breakaway or a partial break, there's no reason to not just hack the dog shit out of them. There's no reason. So you can't exist in a land with no laws, I guess is what I'm saying with the NHL. Garland did the smart thing here. I'm not even criticizing him, because I would criticize him if he was like, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. No, it's fine. He was like, no, I held him. Wouldn't you? Like, he's just nakedly Yeah, it's Connor McDavid. I held him.
So, Jess, can you bring up the second video? What does Chaos Giraffe get? That's Tyler Myers of the Vancouver Canucks for cross-checking Evan Bouchard in the face after the whistle blows behind the scrum.
So I saw, I think it was what's his name? Paul Almeida, who's in Edmonton media, say whatever McDavid gets, Myers should get double. And the moment I read that, I was like, that is the dumbest thing ever. What is wrong in Edmonton? And then I watched it back. There was such a lead up to Garland McDavid where I'm like, yeah, I understand where McDavid's coming from, sure. And like even Garland ducked a little bit and you can make the argument, blah, 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 blah. This is just Myers decking a dude in the teeth for no reason. I don't know what the lead up was.
Well, it's probably the McDavid stuff. Probably.
I don't even know that they saw it.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a hit. Myers slashes Bouchard. Bouchard's so huge, and to see Myers just dwarf him is ridiculous. Look where Myers' hips are compared to...
He's huge.
Holy shit.
He's huge.
He's huge. That is a huge player. 6'7", my ass. I think he might be taller. One of the only guys in the league who actually shaves inches off. But Myers slashes him. Bouchard skates up to him, and he just cross-checks him right in the teeth. There's no illusion of, he might have tried to hit him somewhere else. He just cross-checks him right in the face. To me, there's zero justification for under 2 games here. There's got to be 2.
If the new standard, as Jesse mentioned, is 1 on the McDavid, where like we saw with Timo Meier earlier this year, the one the NHL explained, you could see this being 2.
Well, there's no but. There's no remember with Matthews, it's like, well, he tried to cross-check him in the shoulder, and like with McDavid, I think there might be a hint of, well, he's a short guy and also he ducked. If you're Tyler Myers, you're coming down from the heavens.
Yeah.
To smash this dude directly in the fotch with no real lead up to it.
Jesse, what do you think it's going to be?
2 games.
You think 2 for that specifically?
Yeah, 2 games.
I know we spent a lot more time on McDavid Garland, but I think
we should.
Yeah, but that incident, first of all, it involves Connor McDavid. But second of all, it's so much more complicated than this. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, you're crazy. Take a seat. 2 games. That one's easy. Yeah, why'd you do that? With McDavid, I'm like, why'd you do that? Watch the replay? Oh, okay. With this, no. I don't understand why he cross-checked Evan Bouchard in the face. He should sit. I don't understand why that happened.
Let's say you wanted to sail around the world, Steve and Jesse.
Yeah, on a ship.
How would you do it?
I'd build a ship.
You
made
build
of wood.
it?
Yeah, well, I can't afford one.
Well, what if you needed to call your family to say, I'm still okay?
Oh, I would be totally fine. Oh, roaming charges.
Yeah, you know what? Sorry, I'm not going to update my wife and kids on my sail around the world because the roaming charges are too much.
Did you know Juan Sebastian Elcano was the first person to circumnavigate of the entire globe in September of 1522?
That's pretty impressive.
And he did that with sailing.
Wow.
Yeah, he had great cell service.
There's a claim we can't back up, but what we can tell you is it's available in 160 countries and 8 regions around the world. All you have to do is download the app or go to the website, okay? And I'll give you the website in a second. Download the app, go to the website, buy the plan. That's it. It's a one-time download. You set up your account, and here's the great thing. It's backed by Nord Security. So if you're worried about your passwords or your information or whatever leaking out in those those public Wi-Fis that are like, oh yeah, no, it's totally good, and I agree to these terms and conditions, and I definitely read them too. You don't have to worry about that anymore with Saily eSIMs. Now, I'm going to give you a discount on this. We want to give you a deal.
Ooh.
Okay? Because travel is in your future, but roaming charges are not. Okay? So it's Saily.com/dangle if you want the website. If you want to download the app, which is a lot easier, just go to Saily on your app store. 15% discount. All you have to use is the code DANGLE at checkout. So 15% discount on Saily data plans. Use code DANGLE at checkout. Download the Saily app or go to Saily.com/dangle. So that was a really exciting end of the game for the Vancouver Canucks, though. The only talk going into this game is JT Miller. And, is this guy going to get dealt? When is this guy going to get dealt? For one night, it seemed Vancouver fans got a break from that because there was, I think it was Pasatoboulos had an article that even said the Vancouver Canucks are like borderline unwatchable. They think they've won 5 or 6 of their last 19 or something. It's a crazy stat.
Well,
you can't believe this team, which was so good last year and clearly still has all that talent, to be eaten alive. But it just shows you dressing room issues, if they go unanswered or unfixed, can cause this.
Miller was potentially going to be scratched because he was getting traded, and then he ended up being in the starting lineup. And I think out there with the game on the line.
And Fried said the Rangers were pretty darn close to whatever the move was, but they hit a snag. So
I'm hearing another Metro team.
What are you hearing?
Carolina.
Because they were in on the other guy.
Yeah, so when I was told this, I'm not like reporting anything. I'm just telling you what I was told. My response to that person was, yeah, but those aren't the same player. Carolina was in on Elias Pettersson. JT Miller, like...
The crazy thing about them, though, is they're both really good, so why wouldn't you be?
Well, yeah, they're really good centers. So maybe it's as simple as Carolina going, we need a really good center.
Mm-hmm.
But Elias Pettersson and JT Miller's play styles are, dare I say, dissimilar.
So what I'm curious about, if that does happen... by the way, there's a Jackson Blake on the Carolina Hurricanes.
Who is apparently Jason Blake's son, and I didn't know that.
We talked about it when they played the Leafs.
Oh, okay. Did we? Okay. Well, I want to know if Vancouver's doing a player-for-player deal, is this a Marty Necas situation?
No.
Is this a Seth Jarvis situation?
No.
So who goes the other way? I was wondering that with the Rangers too, guys. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I have an answer, and my answer began with that reaction.
What do you mean? What Carolina would
It's
get?
not going to be a good return. Listen, you got to take...
Are there picks and prospects you can parlay into something else?
You got to take a center back, and they got to make a lot of money.
It's not Kotkaniemi.
Adam, it's got to be Kotkaniemi.
But they're not unloading JT Miller.
If it's Carolina, it has to be Kotkaniemi.
Who would it be if there was the Rangers, guys?
Well, do they really have a Kotkaniemi? A player who makes far too much.
Alexis Lafreniere.
Well, I saw that rumor, and that was really interesting.
Because, remember, his first agent, I'm not saying he's overpaid. His first agent is the AGM of the Vancouver Canucks. Emily Castonguay. So she left being his agent to join the Canucks front office.
I could absolutely see that. And what's amazing about that, though, with Carolina's deal, I think they need to sweeten the pot. I kind of think the Rangers... Or no. Sorry. The Hurricanes would need to sweeten the pot in that trade. I think the Canucks would have to sweeten the pot to get Lafreniere.
Really?
Personally, well, you're getting zero cap relief, basically. Because what's his new contract? 8?
7 something.
Oh, it's 7 something?
7.8 or something. You're not far off.
Nah.
He's got 26 points in 46 games this year, guys. Like, I mean, I know the Rangers have been on a better pace of late.
They're both good but disappointing players.
Okay. Jesse, what are your thoughts?
With the Hurricanes, I would do Jack Drury, Kotkaniemi, and Sean Walker for JT Miller.
Ooh, John Walker just got there.
Yeah, but I think the Canucks would look at that because they're getting that defenseman back.
Wow.
They need that help on the back end.
Yeah, especially with Myers out.
I think that'd be a reasonable deal for both sides.
What do you say for Rangers?
I think it'd be very funny if the Canucks didn't make a trade with the Rangers but ended up with a guy named Drury.
That would be
After
funny.
all these months, I think that would be very, very funny. Sorry, what was your question?
I asked Jesse, what do you think it would be for the Rangers?
They're not going to part with Schneider. Like, I think that's what the Canucks want in the deal, so I think that's off the table. I don't know if a Canucks Rangers deal works unless the Rangers fleece them. Because I don't think you're giving up Laugh at this point, and I don't think the Canucks want to just swap Zibanejad for JT Miller.
Well, they were offered that.
Which I could see the Rangers wanting to do easily.
Of course.
Every day of the week. I think if it was available for them, they would just do it. So I don't know if the Rangers deal works. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I wondered if the snag that they hit was the Canucks got a better potential offer. Like the Canes called them and said, we got, I don't know what the Rangers are offering you, but we might go to this. And then, because I understand a team wanting to get player for player. That rarely ever works because the acquiring team is like, but I have all these great players. I don't want to give up all these great players. If you get something similar to what Calgary got, remember that Lindholm Zadorov deal? That deal was crazy. Like the amount of stuff that Vancouver gave up.
Oh yeah.
Well,
it's technically two separate deals.
If you can acquire the types of picks and prospects that they were able to jettison for those two players, and use them at the trade deadline, or use some of them at the trade deadline, because if you're Vancouver, you're not just going to be good this year, because they are a good team and they are going to make the playoffs in my mind. I just have a hard time seeing the West with them not in it. But you could use that for this deadline and potentially next to get the players that you need to get. Brock Nelson is going to be available. Ryan O'Reilly is not available unless he is.
Can I throw out another hurricane?
Sure.
That can make some sense, because the Canucks are in this weird, we still want to make the playoffs, but we really might not phase. Would it make sense to acquire a player on an expiring contract, like a Jack Roslovic, who you like, and you can maybe keep if he's good, or if it turns out your team stinks, you could trade him at the deadline, which is, first, second week of March?
Yeah, and certainly the Canucks are no strangers to that. We saw that with Elias Lindholm last year. They acquired him, tried to trade him.
Itchy thumbs.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to make moves. So I was told Carolina, and I was surprised.
Interesting.
And you're not, yeah.
I think they got to get something done
Jarvis,
soon.
no shot. I'd be very surprised.
They got to get something done soon.
The Canucks?
Yeah, I think this has gone on long enough, wouldn't you guys say?
Yeah, like, this then you have that win against Edmonton where you look like the better team, and yeah, hockey can be torture, man. I don't think if you're the Canucks you can live game to game like that. I think your decision has to have already been made. That's enough. Be done with it.
Okay. All right. Thomas Hickey's joining us in about 15 minutes. Thomas Hickey of Amazon Monday Night Hockey here in Canada. Also New York Islanders legend.
Fourth overall pick.
That's right. And you actually spoke to him back in the day too, right?
There's zero shot he would remember.
No, I know, but we're going to ask him anyway.
Yeah, no chance.
So we're gonna chat to him a little bit about their broadcasts and obviously the tee up the game and that sort of thing. I want to quickly mention Four Nations because it's interesting that at least I find myself getting very excited for this, guys, but it isn't selling well. And I saw CJ talking about it on Insider Trading last week, and I saw a clip of Darren Drager, I think, on Barn Burner. I forget which show it was. I'm trying to give him credit. And he's talking about these tickets. And, tickets do tend to, as Alan likes to say, deadlines clear the mind. Mm-hmm. People will buy them closer to. But, guys, it's kind of crazy what they're charging. We're talking $1,000 or more for a lower bowl seat.
One
American.
This is, there's 1,000 TikToks like this, but what part of we're broke don't you understand? This is the American economy doing awesome?
It is, but I don't think the average person is sharing in it. That's the issue.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I count it as what the average person is experiencing, not the fairy tale nonsense that we call the stock market.
Right.
Is the Canadian economy doing great?
No.
Who the hell is ponying up $1,000?
Yeah.
To watch a bunch of dudes who aren't even on the Habs, which matters.
Yeah.
I think that does matter.
So here's the cheapest.
Can't even watch Cole Caulfield.
Cheapest seats I could find. Section 411, row B in Montreal for the first one, Canada versus Sweden. Okay, this is at the Bell Center. 411, by the way, just so anybody's unclear. So you've got...
I'm confused.
At the Centre Bell, you've got your 100s, you've got your 300s, and then they have a higher ring above the 300s, which is the 400s.
Oh, that's confusing. Leafs have 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Well, so sorry. They do have the twos. The twos are always the box seats, right?
Oh.
So that's why you don't hear the 200 levels often unless you're going to the box seats. But who would know about that? Your billionaire friend, Adam. Now, these are verified resale. These ones in particular, but it goes to show the costs that are expensive or are expected here. This is like, these are kind of nuts, and I'm trying to, and look at this. I'm just, if I go outside of resale, I go to standard ticket for section 323, which is high.
Sure.
Okay. One ticket. It's looking like, yeah. Is this right? Yeah. 234.
Is
one ticket.
Sorry, this
and so
is
that,
in Montreal.
Yeah, and the ticket is
Canadian dollars.
Yes, 189 Canadian dollars plus $34 in fees because Ticketmaster can.
Were Habs and Bruins season ticket holders part of this equation?
No, you're allowed. So when you buy seasons tickets, you're given the option to buy into stuff like that, just like you're given the option to buy into concerts and playoffs and stuff.
Right.
So they would have been, I guess, factored in, but they would have had to pay the same price. They just get first access to it.
I just think they're overestimating how many people have money for this. Dude, that's a lot, man.
It is.
And it looks like there's a lot of tickets available.
Jess, do you think that these sell closer to? Is it that it's a new event and people don't realize how exciting it's going to be? Is it the cost? Is it the...
I think there's a miscalculation by the NHL on this event in terms of just the market they're in Montreal. I think Montreal fans care about the Montreal Canadiens, and they may not necessarily care about the other international events that come to the city, because we saw this happen with the World Juniors when it was in Montreal. They really struggled to sell tickets, and I don't know at this price point that they have the right market at all. I don't know if there is a right market for this price point. Maybe you put in Madison Square Garden, you get people to pay $900 for Canada USA in Montreal on a Saturday, first row, something like that. But I think at this price point, they've miscalculated here.
You're squeezing a lot from hockey fans. There's Montreal with the Canadiens. There's Laval, which is very present in that market or just outside. There's the Victoire now, who are doing very well. You had World Juniors tickets available, and there's this tournament. It's too much.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Maddie, if you want to bring this up, just the get-in price for the lower bowl for Canada USA February 15th in Montreal, if you want to sit in the lower bowl, the furthest from the ice in the lower bowl is $989.
By the way, I would argue those are the best seats in the house.
I think that is an unreasonable standard ticket price for any individual, especially in a market that, like, this isn't my team. It's not. This isn't my team at all. I know it's a marquee event that the NHL is trying to market this as, but this, to me, in my mind, if the prices are this high, the NHL might look at every single one of these as an all-star / Super Bowl kind of event where these tickets aren't going to regular people. They're going to their corporate sponsors, because the Super Bowl, regular people don't go to the Super Bowl. It's mainly through, you get the hardcore fans from each market, the people who are like, this is my once in a lifetime thing I'm going to do. I'm never going to see the Buffalo Bills in a Super Bowl ever again. Yep. I'm going to pay the $5,000 because I've been preparing for this for 40 years. Mm-hmm. And then every other seat in the building is just a corporate sponsor who's in there with their ticket. And the NHL might look at all of these Four Nations games, because there's so little of them, that this is just another all-star game where we're inviting people that we want to be there, and those are the seats, and that's who's going to be attending these games. Because $989.37 for one ticket in the lower bowl, the furthest from the ice, is absolutely unreasonable for any normal person.
Which game is this?
Canada USA, February 15th, Saturday night, the round robin game.
And I'm looking at good matchup. It's a round robin game.
The marquee matchup of the round robin game. That's still ridiculous.
Canada, I'm looking at the American seats too, like TD Garden. So for the balcony, which is the back of section 320, it's $300 for two tickets American. So 150 each.
American.
For the balcony. I believe, I'm trying to get confirmation on this because I
Sounds
have,
like 400
I've only
bucks
been to
Canadian.
TD Garden one time, but I would imagine that that's standing room.
TD Garden's so good.
Yeah, it's the best. It's a great arena.
I hate that.
I hate them so much.
A lot of fond memories.
Yeah. It is such a great place to see a game. Okay, so here's where I think maybe they missed the boat. You know, the All-Star game is what, guys? What is it? What does it exist
Local.
for really? Local? What else?
It's a showcase.
And family.
Family. There you go. Thank you.
Family.
Thank you. I wasn't getting it.
It's an event. That's okay. It's an event that
That's how I get
exists
Leo to spell words.
to super serve hardcore NHL fans and develop new ones in a city, right? When you do the Four Nations, what would have been really great is to understand that audience is the audience that's going to make this trophy matter in the future. If you ever plan on doing this again, which I think maybe next time they'll do, if Russia's back in the fold, the war's over.
I don't think they're ever doing it again.
Well, they might do like a World Cup or a Six Nations or something like that.
They've already had the World Cup. This is its own weird, freakish thing.
But my point is, they're going to use this time slot,
Right.
Feb 20th, 12th to 20th. Either it's going to be the Winter Olympics or it's going to be some sort of national tournament most of the time. I think the All-Star game is going to take a break for a while. So if
There's
you're
an
gonna-
All-Star game next year.
There is?
Yeah.
That's so
and
weird.
an Olympics.
They're doing All-Star in Brooklyn, on the island. They're not in Brooklyn anymore. On the island, and they're doing the Olympics.
Okay. So maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I feel like
See you guys for the Cup final.
This
on
didn't-
July 15th.
the final could have been the premium event.
Yeah.
The round robin game should be family priced, slightly below the NHL prices, I think. And I know there's a lot of collection of stars there, but you sell this out and you get bonkers crowds in there, that sells this. Because everybody goes, oh my God, I can't believe I'm not there. And the tickets were what? Oh, we should have looked at that.
Right. No, it's this is insane.
Well, and because
$900.
if you're going to sell this tournament, because somebody brought it up recently, they're like, you have to remember, this is a made up thing. So this has to matter somehow, some way. It can be a real highlight if you have those tickets priced properly. And you're right. I think there's a misread on the market. I think your premium seats are if you really wanted premium buys, then you should have added to semifinals, because there's no semifinals. It's direct to final. The final should be the premium seats, right? That should be the premium buy. I understand that completely.
It's a gold medal game.
But a round robin versus, for a made up trophy versus, with these two teams going head to head. And I like this concept. I think that's just too much money. And we're seeing it. Ottawa has seen it. Winnipeg has seen it. Pittsburgh has seen it. These are hockey hotbed markets that all in recent years, especially since the pandemic, have struggled filling their buildings.
What part of we don't have any money don't you understand?
Yeah. And the money you're going to make off of this, honestly, is television revenue. That's the real money.
The face value, the printed value on my ticket for the gold medal game at the Olympics in 2010. I know it was 15 years ago, but still, it's $500.
Yeah.
Dude, you're charging
You couldn't even get
double
caught.
that to go to a round robin game for a made up tournament? Kissed my ass.
Yeah.
It was $500 for the most sought after ticket maybe for hockey in maybe the history of Canada. It was $500. And you're asking for double that for this? Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. You know what? I think it's time to bring Mr. Thomas Hickey on. You guys down with that?
Pew pew.
Bringing Thomas Hickey on from Amazon Monday Night Hockey. From Monday Night Hockey on Amazon, it is Thomas Hickey for the first time on the show. Thomas Hickey. Hey, Thomas, how are you?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me. I just walked back from Scotiabank Arena, and I can confirm it's very cold outside, so I'm just thawing out right now.
Listen, we're pumped about this. You're from Calgary, Alberta, so it's not like you're any stranger to the cold, but as somebody who used to live there, it's the humidity that kills you, right? The cold out there is not so bad.
It actually is, honestly, yeah. If you were to, there's a big difference now you learn between the feels like and what it actually is, because the bite of a cold day in the east or even the heat a lot different than it is for sure. Definitely a lot different from back home. But I've been away for so long that I don't know if I could brave those winters either.
Yeah.
But it's always a treat coming back.
So obviously we've got Toronto, Tampa. Obviously they've met a couple times in the playoffs. These are divisional rivals, and this is a marquee game for you. Now, as a broadcaster, this is probably one of those ones that you have circled on your calendar.
Yeah, you do from before the season. And one of our first games we did for Prime Monday Night Hockey was these two teams, and a ton of buildup. Obviously, the history of not just having all-star players, but groups that have seen each other in the playoffs sort of year over year. That stands out. And then at the same time, I don't want to say I was disappointed with the first matchup, but the Leafs dominated.
Yeah.
It was at the start of the season. I think they sort of realized how good maybe they can be. And they beat Tampa both times. So then you come back into a situation like this at certain points of the season where both teams are sitting quite comfortably, but these are the ones you sort of expect a bigger pushback, and that memory to still be there from Tampa. And after going to the morning skates, I think if there's one thing to glean, they didn't forget about those losses. So I'm expecting much more of a competitive game.
And tonight during the broadcast, you're going to be in between the benches. That's kind of your spot on the Amazon broadcast. What's that like? Are you worried about getting hit by a flying puck? And how much swearing do you hear back and forth that just doesn't make it to air?
There's a lot, all of the above. No, there's a ton. I mean, I think first of all, as far as getting hit by a puck, I mean, I don't want to say I'm not worried about that because then I'll take one in the teeth tonight. But I feel like you can always have a good idea of when the puck's going to come at you, but it's obviously when you least expect it. But you can prepare for those situations. It's more so sticks, when there's a big hit in front of the bench, or maybe guys getting into a jousting match or a pushing match in front of both benches. You get sticks flying in there. So I've learned the hard way. I've taken one on the head, and now I try to protect myself. But it's so cold down there too that I'm often freezing. I got like hand warmers in my pockets, so I try to make sure I don't have my hands in my pockets at any time when the play's near me. And if I do, I'm asking for it. But as far as the stuff that gets said, obviously a ton of jawing. Those are probably my favorite moments of being in there, though. You get to feel that intensity. At the same times, you also hear conversations where maybe the game is heated. You've got two veteran guys talking to each other, maybe talking the other team down. Like that stuff goes on too. So it's not all F you, I hate you. Sometimes there's other conversations as well. But yeah, you get a lot of good stuff that doesn't make it onto the airwaves.
It's such a unique spot to be in for the hockey game, because you're getting that inside look on both benches, and nobody else in the world has that perspective unless you're on the ice.
Who?
Yeah, I consider it. I think it's the best sporting seat in the world, or standing spot. Really, like every time I do it, I count my blessings. I'm lucky. It's a different vantage point than being up top, which I do as well. Regionally for the Islanders with MSG, but being down low, I mean, no one is ever really going to get to experience that, and I'm really lucky. It's a real treat.
When I first saw you got this gig, I was really, really happy for you because I remember you with the World Juniors, 4th overall. Remember the bad injury, shortly thereafter, and I'm like, this is cool. And then I thought, no, actually, this is really lame because now guys who I covered in junior are getting into broadcasting, and it made me feel extremely old. What's the transition been like? Because you played professional hockey very recently.
Yeah, it's I still feel young in the industry. There's no question. And
you are.
Yeah, it's at that point. I guess we're all there in some stage where you see, maybe guys you played with that move into management. You go, wow, like I played with that guy, or they're head coaches in the NHL. You get that, and it sort of takes you back a little bit. But for me, the transition wise, great. It's perfect. I mean, I don't think I could ask for anything better because a lot of people ask me if I miss playing in my first. I say quite emphatically, no, I don't miss playing. But if I didn't have the job I do, I think I'd miss it like crazy. I'd miss it every day, and I'd probably be trying to do something to get back inside of hockey. But I understand I'm not playing anymore, but I think whether you played at some point in your life, even if it was recreationally, like hockey's a journey, and what leads to that next part of your journey in hockey. And playing was absolutely the best part of it. I loved it. Fortunate enough to do it. And then you get to be in a situation like this in broadcasting where, no, you're not part of the game. You don't decide wins or losses, but you're part of the viewing experience for everybody. And I take a lot of pride in that. But for me, it was a ton of learning, a lot of things right away, the technical side of things, what goes into a broadcast, the whole production, so much more than what meets the eye. So I have a great understanding for that. But the hard things are understanding how to manage in game to get the things that you see, that you want to point out to the viewer, the things that interest me, the things that I want to point out to show the viewer or tell people why something was so miraculous or such a great play, even though it seems so little, or why someone is able to capitalize on just such a minor mistake. Everything is almost has a little butterfly effect to it. And if you can help explain that, I think that's the part that I enjoy the most. But certainly still learning a ton, but dealing with talking in your ear and using your talkback button and trying to find the clips that you want that are going to paint a good picture for the viewers. The most difficult part, but when it goes well, it's the most rewarding part too.
Are there any broadcasters you try to emulate, like watching, or were you just too busy playing hockey the whole time to watch any on the TV?
That's a great question. The answer is no. There's no one in particular. I think that when I watch and listen, I think everyone's got their own style. Everyone's got their own eye. And for me, my biggest takeaway early on, it was like, okay, I'll listen to some of the best, guys that work nationally, and in Canada, a ton of great ones to watch and learn from. But I think you pull things from everyone. But I think for each guy that's a color analyst, I mean, your unique experience, whether you are someone like Craig Simpson, who's great at his job and had a phenomenal NHL career, or someone else that maybe you have to think, oh, I got to look this guy up. Where did he play? What was his career like? That's part of your story, and it's part of how you see the game. And that's sort of how I look at it for myself. So certainly can learn things as far as what other people are pointing out, but I think you got to trust yourself and your eye, that the parts of the game that you're seeing are from your experience from playing. And for me, I was a student of the game, and I watched even more hockey than I played. I was always a bit of a junkie when it came to consuming everything, and with that, you sort of develop an eye that you hope that people are interested to listen to. Maybe they learn something, or maybe things are highlighted that don't always do. But I've got no shortage of great people that I continue to watch, just because everyone's got a unique perspective, and it makes you a more rounded hockey viewer, not just in my job. I think for all of us, when you listen to someone that shows you something that you didn't initially see on the play.
So I got to ask, because, I think the benefit of you having played so recently is that a lot of these guys you've had to defend against. And there's two guys I want to talk to you about. The first one is Nikita Kucherov. And it's, we talk about his, mind-blowing skill and, always in the race for the heart and blah, blah, blah. Tell me about angry Nikita Kucherov. What's that like to play against?
He's dirty. I mean, he's a dirty player at times. I've got the ultimate respect for him, but I remember it was his breakout year. It was his second year in Tampa, and he wasn't a depth player, but he was their middle six guy. He wasn't. You got to look out for Kucherov. And I remember we played them in the second round of the playoffs, and that was sort of at the point. It was like, okay, this is his coming out party, and he was dominant, and he was so good in that series. And after that, he took off. He's been a point a game player since. But I remember there was one time I finished a check on him, and I gave him a whack after, and he turned around, two-hand slash, and it was like it hit the glass, but it was like only a couple inches away from my face. And I'm thinking, who is this guy? Like, why is he so upset? Why is he so angry? And you realize that he had that side to him, and you'll often see it now. Like, if he's frustrated, it shows and it comes out, and he's not afraid to stand up for himself, protect himself, stand up for his teammates. And when I say he's dirty, I don't mean that in a sense of I don't like the way he plays. He's got an edge to it that he can, as beautiful as those hands are with what he does with the puck. He's also a smart guy that understands how to protect his space as well. So you don't want to get on the wrong side of him, but you're absolutely right. He's got a mean side, and I think he can snap just a little bit. I think he's had some questionable plays in the NHL, but he's also one of those guys that backs it up with how good his game is. And I think he just understands that buy yourself a little bit of space. We've seen it this week, right? With Connor McDavid. Sometimes guys get pushed, you're targeted, you're getting slashed, you're getting hooked more than anyone else. After a while it boils up, and when you're not putting up the points you want, you better be afraid if you've held Nikita Kucherov to no shots and snuffed out every single play. He's going to be upset.
The second guy I want to talk to you about, and it's the obvious one, is Auston Matthews, and going up and playing against him because, earlier this year, as we tend to do in Toronto, Thomas, I'm not sure if you've known this or not, if anything goes slightly ajar throughout an 82-game series, we get existential, 82-game series season, we get existential, and the world is collapsing, and we're all going to die. And when Austin flew to Germany because of this injury, after somewhat of an iffy in between when he was playing, but he wasn't playing to like Austin standards. He's come back. He's played great. When Auston Matthews is at his best, what is the challenge in defending him? How do you manage, contain? What do you do?
There's an extremely long list. I remember his first couple of years. I mean, that was an assignment that I don't want to say I would get that one, but you're out against Auston Matthews. I mean, he was a really good young developing player. Now every team, you're going to try to get the matchup you can. The hardest part about defending someone like him is his size. Much like Evgeny Malkin or Ovechkin, look, I'm not comparing them as players, but I am comparing their size and how imposing they are and how you don't really understand how that physicality is such a presence in their game because we're all mesmerized by the shot and the hands and the playmaking ability. He's an extremely physical player, and I don't mean that he runs guys over, but when he goes into a pile, I mean, he might be coming in with the backside of his body. And if you're on the wrong side of Auston Matthews, I mean, he's so good at separating and stick lifting, but it's the physicality that he plays with. So when you watch tonight, I mean, every battle he goes into, he's so good at positioning his body in the right way, but he's also so big and strong. And you don't think of that when you think of Auston Matthews, but he's a massive guy. So I think for him, especially when you talk about needing to be at full health, he's a guy that when he's at full health, he can dominate games physically, not just the big hits, but in every single battle. And I think that's the biggest hurdle for him.
You mentioned full health, and I mentioned you've had some injuries, obviously, throughout your career. One thing we often talk about on this show or theorize is about guys playing hurt. What percent out of 100, 100 is I'm feeling great, I'm feeling perfect. What percent are most players around the NHL playing at during the regular season right about now when we're halfway through?
That's a difficult one to answer, but it's totally fair. Like, it depends on the years. I've had years where my body felt good for 70% of the year, right? And then you've got years where maybe you get nicked up early, whether it's like you get a shot off the foot. It could even be in practice, but early on in the season, and that is going to be there. Sometimes it can follow you around for a couple months. Is it going to prohibit you from playing the game that you want? No, not exactly, but it's in your head as far as how good do you feel on the ice? It is. So I think from year to year, it changes from every guy. Sometimes I felt my very best at this time of the year, January, February. But to your point, it is one of those times of the year where not a lot of light outside. It's not as easy to feel good about yourself. I think the bigger thing is how often does a player feel physically 100% about their body and then mentally have the energy as well, right? It's one thing to be nicked up and banged up. It's another thing for your body to feel healthy, but you to be a little bit fatigued mentally. And it doesn't matter if your body feels great, because you're not going to get the best out of yourself. If you had to pinpoint it, I would say if you feel good 60% of the time, you would walk away from that season saying, I felt good this year.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow. Well,
Yeah, see?
Thomas, I want to end this. We could honestly, we could sit here for an hour and talk to you, and I hope we get the chance to
let's
one
do
day.
it.
No, but maybe in person. But I do want to say that the broadcasts that you guys are doing at Prime are a real breath of fresh air. They really are. I think that the market's been screaming out for a new switch on this. I love the fact that you're between the benches. I love that the panels are right in the crowd.
Yeah.
I want to compliment you on how refreshing and energetic those broadcasts have been. Even running the pregame skate beforehand and just the arena feed is just easy, fun stuff that hockey fans can get behind. So shout out to you and the entire team. Really enjoyed watching them.
Thanks. Well, on behalf of everyone, I'll say thanks and thanks for watching. And I think the biggest thing for us is thanks for giving us a fair look and giving us a bit of time to understand the flow and the rhythm, because we threw it together. I don't want to say last minute, but things came together really quickly, and we have some of the best people in the world at producing and directing hockey, and the amount of cameras we have, the amount of resources we have, and the audio and the exposure that we're able to give the game, and the game always comes first. If that's standing out to people, then we're doing our job. But I think everyone's had an open mind, and that's been the biggest thing. So we're proud of the work we're doing, and hopefully we get better and better every broadcast, and put out a better and better show every single time. Hopefully tonight, not just that part of it, but hope we get a great game to watch tonight too, because this has the makings of a good one.
That was a true hockey player answer. Hopefully we get it better and better every single time. Thomas Hickey from Prime Monday Night Hockey. Hopefully not for the last time. It was really great to meet you, and thanks for making time.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Talk to you soon.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.